Coney Barrett as well. Huge disappointments. Those for logic and order and reason. Samuel Alito, Clarence Thomas, Neil Gorsuch, and Brett Kavanaugh. Let's bring in our experts. Joe DeGenova, the former U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C., also had several senior jobs throughout Washington, and Mike Davis, founder and president of the Article 3 Project. Looking through Alito's opinion, this seems like a no-brainer. Should be 9-0 that this money can be scuttled. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I would say this. I don't think the Trump administration is going to send one penny from USAID to any of these plaintiffs or any other grantee. I think what's going to happen is that the Supreme Court tried to dodge here, and so it's going to go to a preliminary injunction hearing in front of this Judge Ali, this radical Biden judge, and then however he rules is going to get appealed to the D.C. Circuit and to the Supreme Court of the United States. So I think that the left thinks there's a much bigger win here than there actually is.
Wait, really? All right. So we don't have to, Joe, do you concur?
Absolutely. This is just a preliminary ruling. Even though it's the Supreme Court, we're just at a very preliminary stage in this litigation. Not only that, Trump's very happy tonight because he won a big one this afternoon when the D.C. Circuit said he can fire Hampton Dellinger, the guy from the Merit System Protection Board. So the special counsel. This has been quite a day for the president in many ways.
Wow. Yeah, things are exciting. Hey, can I just show you the 5-4 decision? You may have heard, Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett. Mm-hmm. And if I could show you this footage from last night as President Trump is leaving, he's saying goodbye to the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and then he says goodbye to the justices. And a lot of people noticed that Amy Coney Barrett seemed to, it was even worse than chilly. She looked at him, and there seemed to be a bitterness there, a real resentful bitterness. I think we might have a close-up as well. Mike Davis, did you hear about this thing? I know it's certain quarters of the internet, doesn't mean everybody's talking about it, but what do you make of her?
Well, I would say this. I think those Dobbs protests outside of her house got her rattled, and she's been a different person, a different justice since that happened. And I think that President Trump is going to pick even more bold and fearless federal judges in his second term. He's going to build on his success, and he's not going to pick rattled law professors in his second term.
Yeah. By the way, parading in front of a justice's house is against the law, Joe DeGenova, isn't it? It's a point blank. Sure. You can't do that, but they let those marauders do that and put their lives in jeopardy.
Of course they did. That's why Merrick Garland should have been impeached and removed from office. It was a disgrace to allow those demonstrations. They had one guy that went to Brett Kavanaugh's house who was going to kill him, all encouraged by the President of the United States at the time, Joe Biden, the Vice President, and Chuck Schumer. Really a disgraceful performance by everybody involved in the process.
What are you most excited about, Mike Davis? By the way, you had a great role in getting President Trump's nominees confirmed. And what are you most excited about now from a legal standpoint?
Well, I like the fact that President Trump before in 2016, he never ran for office. He had never been in office. He had 4 years in office. He's had 4 years to reflect. He's not going to make the mistakes that he did the first time by picking bad people. He's picking savages. And he's ready to govern on day one. And he is very effective. He's accomplished more in 6 weeks than most presidents do in 8 years. And he's just getting started.
Did you say he's appointing savages? Savages in a good way. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, no, this is bad news. I know what you mean about these justices getting their, they just lost it a little bit. How about you, Joe?
Well, I think one of the reasons it's really important to pay attention to Amy Coney Barrett and how she's been influenced by the demonstrations is to just show how horrible it was what Chuck Schumer did when he went on the steps of the Supreme Court and criticized Kavanaugh and Gorsuch and threatened them. And I think that in the future, when stuff like this happens, we can't let time drag by before we decide whether or not somebody in the United States Senate should be prosecuted for threats to a Supreme Court justice. This stuff has to stop. And by the way, that's very depressing news from Mike about Amy Coney Barrett actually being influenced by the demonstrations. Nobody should be sitting on the bench who can be influenced like that.
Well, next time, a savage for the Supreme Court when there's a vacancy. Article3project.org. Everybody should check that out and keep watching Newsmax for more Joe DeGenova. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Last night, President Trump talked about calling all of the Gold Star families from those lost in Afghanistan.